All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is another True Story Saturday. Basically, continuing the car stories that I did last time around. I told you last time that there was three stories, and I gave you two. Held off on the last one, but I figured while I'm here now, it's another Saturday. I'll give you the third car story. And this, although I love the Datsun Maxima, smoke coming out of the hood story, lost on the highway story, that was great. But this is my personal favorite, and I do not recommend anybody ever do this. What I did was illegal. What I did was stupid. I was young and dumb, and just no, don't do what I did. Okay, I'm telling you because it really happened. I don't think this is the way it should be done. Once again, I was young and stupid. But I had an '85 Blazer, and it's funny because it was a hand-me-down. It used to be my mom's. I won't get into that story, but I had bought the Crown Vic, but then I lost the job I had, and I couldn't keep up the payments because it was 3 years old. It was still a new car. I was making payments on it, but at a CarMax. So coincidentally, around the same time, she had been working locally, and then she got transferred to an office that was farther away, and she had to commute, and she had this '85 Blazer that wasn't really handling the commute well. So I said, I can't make the payments on my car anymore. You need something better. I'll take your old Blazer. You take over the Crown Vic and the payments. And that's what happened. So here I am with this '85 Chevy Blazer. Two-door, 1985 Chevy Blazer 4x4 with a 2.8 V6 engine, carbureted. Okay? Tough, dark green Blazer, dark green with a tan interior, nice fucking Blazer. And whatever, I had it, right? Okay, whatever. So one day my buddy hits me up, and he had just moved to a new place, and he bought a TV at BrandsMart, big electronics store that was down at Cutler Ridge, and what they were driving at the time was a little Daewoo 4-door. And he bought this was before flat screens. This was a 32-inch tube, CRT TV, right? And he's like, yo, man, I need a favor, I'll hook you up with some money or whatever, but, you got that Blazer, can you pick up the TV for me? Like, all right, fine. It was like a weekday after work or something, right? So I said, all right, fine, and I agreed to do it for him, and after work, whatever, I worked north and shit, so I go home, I pass my house, I'm hitting south, I'm going to Cutler Ridge, I'm going to this BrandsMart, and it had been raining. It wasn't like a bad rainy day, but there was a downpour. The roads were kind of wet, and I'm in the left lane, and my brakes weren't the best, and I was lighting a cigarette, and car in front of me braked in the left lane. Car in front of me braked suddenly, and I look up and brake lights, and I hit the brakes, and I skid, and I smack into the lady in front of me, and then the car behind me, which was, I'll never forget, it was a Ford Ranger, smacks into the back of me. Now here's the kicker. My license was suspended at the time. Now I might have had warrants. I don't think I did. I really don't remember, but I know my license was suspended. May not have had insurance, I'm not sure, but I know my license was suspended. So, bang, bang, and I end up under the steering wheel. I end up with the steering wheel like up here, right? The seats on that Blazer, the driver's seat, it did not recline. There was no lever. The seat did not recline. It did after the accident, permanently. Seat got pushed back. I slid under. Here's the steering wheel. So after the bam, bam, I kind of climb out of the car, and I get out of the car, and it was a lady in front of me in like a Cherokee or something, I don't remember, and I think they hit the people in front of them, and then the guy behind me. So I look out, there's a group of people like in front, and the lady looked at me like, good job, being fucking a sarcastic bitch, which she had every right to. And then, dude behind me was like this young cat with like a fucking ponytail and a fucking beard and shit. He looked like a fucking weed head and shit. And I'm there looking at them. I'm looking at the car and shit. He comes up like, dude, you alright? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm good. And I look at him and he looks kind of, kind of ghetto and shit. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh, fuck. Hey, you got insurance, man? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, shit. So I look up, and the lady I hit and the car in front of her that she hit, they were like all talking and shit, right? So I get in my car, and my ass end is kind of hanging out into the middle lane and shit. So I start my car. Thank God it starts right up. And and I'm just kind of pulling my ass out of the working lane and shit. But I leave it running because I'm looking and shit. No one's talking to me. No one's up over where I'm at. I look and there's a group of people huddled like up in by the car in front of me, like by the front bumper of the car in front of me. And the dude that hit me, I don't remember where he might have been up there with them. He wasn't by me. So I'm just sitting there with my door open, my leg hanging out and shit, and I'm looking at traffic. But mind you, it's rush hour. This is after work. This is like 5:30 and shit, 5:30 to 6 on a weekday and shit, right? And I'm looking, and the street is like this. If anybody knows what South Florida traffic is like, trust me, US 1. It's fucking US 1. It's like this and shit. But I'm there looking, and I'm like, I'm shitting the brick because, I have no license and shit, and, I don't need. I had just started my new job too, so it's like and it was a good job too. So it's like I don't need this shit. Fuck. So I'm there and I'm playing it off like I'm cool and shit because I have the door open like this. I have my leg hanging out the door. I'm just there with the car running because I had moved it out of traffic, and I'm kind of watching the middle lane, and I'm kind of watching for a middle lane. And when I saw a gap in traffic, I slammed the door, put it in drive, and took off. Took off past everybody. Because here's the thing. I'm thinking everybody's up there. And remember, I don't recommend this. This is illegal activity, okay? Don't do this at home. Don't ever do this at all. But I noticed, now that I think about it, the guy that hit me was up with the group in front of me. That's why I was thinking, nobody's behind me. Nobody can see my tag. In case you guys aren't aware, in Florida, period, the state of Florida, one license plate on the back. This isn't like California or Nevada where you got two plates. No. One license plate on the back. And everybody's in front of me. So I'm like, they can't see my tag. They won't get my tag. They're not behind me. They can't see my tag. Fuck this. So I'm there with the door open, leg hanging out, waiting for a shot. And when I finally see a gap in traffic, I pull out and I go down. And on some fucking crazy shit, I go down and I merge over. And the first right, I fucking take that right. And I go down and I eventually take another right and I try to cut through. I'll never forget, it was like a fucking baseball field and shit. I pulled over and I tried to pop my hood and I couldn't get my hood open because my front end was fucking smashed up. But I said, fuck it, I jumped in the car and I hit it and I went to my mom's house. The car was under my mom's name still, which is what really fucked me up, I do dumb shit, but I'm not going to have my mom taking the fucking, taking the hit for it. But I was like, fuck it, I'm suspended. I'm getting the fuck out of here. So I go to mom's house, I was living in mom's house, but whatever. In the back, in the efficiency. But regardless, I go back and I told her what happened. My mom's cool and shit. I told her what happened and it is what it is and shit, And we just kind of laid low, played it cool and shit. And over the course of the next couple months, no phone calls, no police, no nothing. They never got my tag. They never found out it was me. Hit and run. And here's the kicker. I drove that car with front end damage and rear end damage for the next 2 years with the AC blowing. That 4-wheel drive fucking 2-door 85 Blazer became known in the neighborhood as a fixture because eventually I got my hood open, and once I got it open, it would never close again, so I had to bungee cord it, which is funny because whenever I approached like 50 miles an hour, I could actually see the hood start to lift up and stretch the bungee cord. So I couldn't put it on the highway because I don't want to be doing that shit, for a long stretch. I had one of my headlights got crashed because the whole housing, like the whole front end, got smashed. So it broke the glass on the headlight. I actually got a replacement headlight, but I just taped it, clear fucking tape, right? And I taped it on there, and that headlight was aiming into the next lane. Fuck it, drove like that for like 2 years. Rear end damage, the tailgate got busted, it got bent in, the bumper got bent in, but the tailgate still dropped. But it didn't affect the radiator, it didn't affect the engine. Like I said, that car drove for another 2 years like that with the AC blowing and the CD at full fucking crank because I had high wattage fucking radio MP3 player in that motherfucker with 2 really good 6x9s in the side back panels there. And that was Hoggy's fucking Blazer. I was known for that motherfucker. And it was funny because, just to kind of finish off the story as far as riding in that motherfucker, I spent about 6 months working at P.F. Chang's. As far, I'm sure you guys know P.F. Chang's a very popular fucking restaurant in South Florida, and in the mall it was in, that place used to be fucking packed on Fridays and Saturdays, and we used to work our ass off and smoke a lot of weed and snort a lot of coke and get out of work after closing after a fucking 12-hour shift, pulling doubles and shit, and then you close, and then 2 o'clock in the morning we used to jump across the street to Little Hoolie's, a little neighborhood bar, and I used to fucking shoot pool there and drink fucking Crown on the rocks and shit until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and then jump in what I used to call the Crash Bucket Blazer and drive home down the back streets, drunk, smoking cigarettes with the headlight aiming into the other lane. And I never had a problem. I did get my license fixed, by the way. I should say I did get my license taken care of. But I was riding that bitch for 2 years, all fucked up like that, man, and never had an issue. That was the Crash Bucket Blazer for you, man. So car stories, man. I got a few of them. Timing belt eventually went on the motherfucker, and I was gonna get it fixed, and I couldn't keep it at the house. Long story behind that, but I couldn't keep it at the house, so I went and parked it at the apartment complex my friend used to live at, thinking it was safe there, and then when I went back 3 days later, it was gone. They towed it. Total loss. Wasn't really worth getting out of impound or whatever. Coincidentally, I went from that car to another 85 two-door Blazer. This one was a faded black color, and it was a two-wheel drive, but it was the same fucking 85 two-door Blazer with the 2.8. This one had a really funky carburetor, and that's another story for another day, although probably not, because it's not as interesting. I didn't really do anything crazy in that one. But there you go, the follow-up to your True Story Saturday. Please don't ever run from a hit and run, okay? Take it like a man. Deal with the consequences. I did the wrong thing, and I want to stress that I did the wrong thing. It's funny now because I was young and stupid, but don't do that. Do the right thing, own up to it, and face the consequences as you should. The other message to take from this is that even though that 2.5 engine had its issues, had a lot of torque but no horsepower. But those old fucking Chevy Blazers, man, them bitches could take a licking and keep riding for 2 years with front end damage, rear end damage with the AC blowing. It's a motherfucker. Cheers, fuckers. Enjoy your weekend.